All right, guys, video number 3. I'm on page 6 now. I'm going to spin over there so you see. Page 6. If you look up at the top right of the page, there should be a big black 6 on the notes. This is estimating square roots. These are some example problems I'm going to use for you guys and use my thinking and how you should figure this out. Now, what I want you to do is pause the video real quick. Go do the work. Use the notes from the other page. Use the process I use. See how you can use that process to figure this out. So it says, which of the following square roots is best represented by point A? So they're telling us that one of these square roots is going to have one of these square roots is going to be very close, be very close to the root of 4. Now, I have a 3 and a 4 here. Now, if I remember back when I was using the number line, something's missing. And I bet if I was to put something up here, okay, it would really help us to figure that out. So I'm wondering if you want to pause real quick when I ask you a question like that to see if you can figure out what should I have up here above this 3 and this 4 that would really help me out. Pause, see if you can figure that out. All right, if you figured it out, if you paused and you went and did it, where is that square root? If I had these square roots up here, that would help me. So I know that 3 is the root, or is the square root of 9. And I know that 4 is the square root of 16. So now, not only is it asking me the best spot for this, I can look. So the square root of 7, well, 7's a much closer to 9. It can't be 7. 12, that's a maybe. Okay, we could put a question mark there. Well, let's try 15. Wow, 15 is really close to 16. And then 8, well, it's much, much closer to 9. So if I look between my two choices, I can eliminate 12. I realize that C, the square root of 15, would be much closer to would be much closer to 4. Nobody said, when I give you a problem, nothing is ever said that you can't write this other information on here. That's why I showed you the process. All right, now I'm going to move over. I'm going to move this camera nice and slow. I'm going to move over to number 5, okay? It says, which one of these, all right, would be the best estimate for the square root of 198? Now, basically what it's asking us is it says find the best estimate for 198. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use that complete process that we used on page 5. So if you took the notes and you followed along in video number 2, if you want to flip back and forth between page 5, it should help you do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make that little number line, okay? Look, I like when I see students use this, all right? Any work that you do for me, I like seeing students use these things. So we had 2 lines. Now, we're looking for the square root of 198. So the first thing I'm going is I need to do an estimate or an approximation. And to do this educated guess, I need to use what I already know. So I do know some perfect squares that are close to 198. If I go down the line, the closest are 196 and 225. So let's do the square root of 196 and the square root of 225. Now, you should know by looking that the square root of 196 is 14. And the square root of 225 is 15. Now, some of you are probably just watching the video and writing what I write. I really urge you to pause, especially right now, and go, okay, can I use what Mr. Smith is telling me and figure the rest of this out? If you don't, that's okay. Erase, watch what I do, learn from it, but I need you to try. See how far you can get on your own. You're going to have to show me the work on the 2 I give you anyway. So if I'm looking, 198 is closer, okay? So that square root of 198 right here is going to be pretty close, okay? So it's much closer, much, much closer to 14. So if we go down here to our choices, this is a strategy. It's not close to 15 at all, so it can't be 15. We're going to mark that out. And instead, it's really close. 14.7 is going to be way over here. 14.5 is right in the middle, which leaves us with 14.1. All right, let's go down to number 3. All right, so it gave us a bunch of these. Now, I think you could really, it says, between which two integers would each of the following be? So it's basically asking me to go back to this chart. Use this chart if you can't do it in your head. So the first one is 90. So what are the perfect squares that 90 is between? So 90 comes between 81 and 100. The integers, or the square roots, are 9 and 10. So 9 and 10. Now, I think you should pause right now and try the other two by yourself. All right, if you pause and you came back, the square root of 175, I'm going to move down. 175 is between 169 and 196. Their perfect squares are 13 and 14. So the square root of 175 is going to be between 13 and 14. Now, next, pause, try C yourself. If you paused and came back, the negative square root of 12. Okay, now, the square root of 12, then make it negative. Remember, the negative is not inside here, and you won't ever get that in my math class. We won't be doing the square roots of negative numbers. It's called an imaginary number. So what this is find the square root of 12 and then make it negative. So what we need to do is just figure out what is the square root of 12 in between. It's in between 9, the square root of 9, and the square root of 16, which is between 3 and 4. But if we made it negative, okay, it's going to be between the negative square root of 16 and the negative square root of 25, which means it's going to be, the negative square root of 9 and the negative square root of 16, which means it's going to be between the negative 3 and negative 4, because this is the negative square root of 9 and the negative square root of 16, okay? That was why those are there. Number 7, over here, number 7. Rebecca bought a square table for her kitchen. The area of the table's surface is 65 feet squared. What is the approximate length of one side of a table? This is one of those word problems that they're going to add a bunch of words, but basically all it's asking us, if it tells us that the area of the square table is 65, okay, feet squared, if that's what they tell us, well, we know that in order to find that area, we did a side times a side, okay, and then that x times x equaled 65. Well, guess what? That means that's what the definition of square root is. What is the number multiplied times itself that gives us 65? All this other stuff, Rebecca, and she bought it, but it's just asking us, what is the approximate length of one side of the table? So it wants us to find x. Well, if it wants us to find x, it just wants us to find what? What is it asking us to find? Pause and see if you know. It wants us to find the square root of 65. Now, if I go through my process, the square root of 65 is between the square root of 64 and the square root of 81, which means it's between 8 and 9. Now, that square root of 65 is really, really close. Really, really close to which number? Pause and think about that for a second. It's really close if you're back. It's really close to 64, which means it's going to be really close to 8. And it's only one away, so I'm going to go ahead and say 8.1 what? Feet. Not feet squared, it's just the side. So that side, so each side is approximately. Every one of our answers we did up here was an approximately, okay? This was, we did approximations everywhere, okay? All right. This was approximately 14.1. All right, number 6. This is going to be, I want you to do these by yourself. So number 8, I want you to try it by yourself. See if you can figure out where on the number line, where about would the square root of 5 be, and just write the letter down there, okay? I'll do one. I'm going to do one of these for you. So I'll do I'll do A, point A, the square root of 5. So where would the square root of 5 be? Well, 2 is the square root of 4. 3 is the square root of 9. So where would 5 be? Okay. Square root of 5 would be about right here. So that's where point A would be. Let's see. I'll do C. So let's see. Let's see. 4 would be the square root of 16. 5 would be the square root of 20. So where would the square root of 17 be? Well, it'd be pretty close to 16. So point C would go right there. Let's see, there's A, B, C, D, and E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, I'll do one more. I'll do D, 118. So we're going to go way down here. Point D is 118. Let's see, I'm going to be here. 100 is here. Square root of 100 is 10. Square root of 121 is 11. The square root of 118 is in between here. It's going to be over here pretty close to 121. So my letter D, point D, is right there. Now, you have to do what's left. Let's see, I did A, C, and D. That leaves you with B, 0.88, and E, which is square root of 56. Then at the bottom, I told you I was going to add these on at the bottom of the page. I want you to estimate the square root of 19, and I want you to estimate the square root of 163. I want you to show me all your work. Use the number line, use the process, rewatch the videos if you need to. If you need to get on the homework helpline, the office hours with teachers, do that. The square root of 19, the square root of 163, show me your work. Have that ready for class. Sorry this was such a long video, but this is one of those things that I really want you to get in tune with knowing how to do. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you on Friday.